Kathy Unruh. Welcome to First Look at Tampa's redevelopment. Coming up on this episode, we head downtown where we'll take a look at the new USF Center for Advanced Medical Learning and Simulation. Next, we'll visit the site of the future Channel District Park. And then we'll stroll over to the Channel District Kennel Club for a tail-wagging good time at the new members-only Canine Club. Dr. Stephen Glasgow is Dean of the USF School of Medicine. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are here, though, to talk about CAMLS, which is an acronym for the Center for Advanced Medical Learning and Simulation.
Exactly.
Tell us what CAMLS is.
Well, at its core, CAMLS is a simulation center. What that means is that physicians can practice on what seem like real-life simulators. Almost like when you go to a Disney ride and you think that you're traveling through time, they can actually practice on a simulator before they actually go and do it on a patient.
And you made a statement, something to this is going to change the medical world as we know it.
I think it's going to change the world as we know it. And the reason is, when you go onto your United Airlines flight today, you know for sure that the pilot, that he or she is competent. You don't have to worry about that. You know that because every 6 months they're getting their technical competence assessed. Unfortunately, in this country today, you do not have the same confidence in your surgeon. So if your surgeon graduated from his residency in 1985, that's the last time he or she got his or her competence assessed.
And what you were explaining to me, what that means is they may be doing surgeries that they've never really had actual training for or adequate training for.
Right, and that's what's even worse. So what happens is if there's new procedures that you didn't do in your residency, and now they're on Discovery Channel, patients say, I want that procedure. In the past, what would happen is doctors would go and maybe take a course for a day or two, but there was no way of knowing if they were good at it or not. So the example I gave you was with minimally invasive hysterectomies. I was one of the first groups in the country that did them, and we had excellent results, and we published them. Then when it got on TV and every patient wanted it, literally we had 5 or 6 years till the learning caught up where there were more deaths and morbidity in hysterectomies than there have been in 20 years before. So CAMLS is going to change all that by being the first place that combines with aviation and really assesses the technical competence of physicians.
What do you mean combines with aviation? They're two very different fields.
Well, they are in a way, but when you think about it, what makes aviation safe is that literally they've done a great job of using simulators so that pilots can practice the flight they're going to do the day before. Not only that, a pilot knows every 6 months they're going to get their technical competence assessed on a simulator. And if they're outside of a very narrow range, they're not flying in the air. Now, it might be they have a neurologic problem, that maybe they have a substance problem, maybe they're just losing some of their reflexes, but you know they're not in the air if they didn't pass that.
Who conceived of the idea of CAMLS?
Well, it was a combination of us, but I think it was Deb Sutherland, who is the CEO of that piece of USF Health, and myself, because I've been a minimally invasive surgeon and I've been a pilot. And it hit me that I have to get, even as a private pilot, certified every couple years. But I came to Tampa from Philadelphia and do minimally invasive surgery, and nobody really had a way of checking if I was technically competent. And I said, well, why is that?
And the way this will work is not by legal mandate now that doctors must come and use these simulators, but it will work by the individual professions. And you're an OBGYN. Explain to us how that will work.
Okay, so I think there will be lots of folks that will decide to use this. So I think residency programs will bring their residents down to make sure that the residents are competent. I think doctors will be able to practice procedures. So let me give you an example. Residents, which are after medical school, you go into residency. That's when you're really starting to become a doctor and, if you will, practicing your craft. So if you're a surgeon or an OBGYN, the traditional thing, and this is a little scary to patients, was see one, do one, teach one. So that means you watched one, next day you did it, next day you taught it. Well, that's great unless you're the one on the other end of the laparoscope. So what we'll do now is basically have them practice on the simulators, which you'll see in a minute, that are real life, and we can know that they're competent before they ever get in front of a patient. That is a revolutionary stance. Not only that, we can check the competence of somebody before they come. Let's say they come from another country. So we've had places like Abu Dhabi and Ukraine ask us to build a CAMLS because they get doctors from so many other countries, and they just want to know before they operate on somebody that they're competent.
Let's go to a little bit of the nuts and bolts
Sure.
of the facility.
Sure.
You're located at TGF, you're associated with USF. Tell us how that works.
Okay, well, it really has nothing to do with Tampa General. This pilot that we're at now was done at Tampa General. The new one really has nothing to do with Tampa General. It's a USF Health facility. But even more than that, the way USF Health works, it's the colleges of medicine, nursing, public health, and pharmacy, our practice group, and then a separate entity called Health Professions Conferencing Corporation, which Deb Sutherland runs. And we are the 5th largest purveyor of continuing education in this country in health fields. 60,000 physicians get their continuing education through USF Health. So this will be an extension of that. And it's the reason that so many industries are excited about us, because so many docs will come through here. We expect 20,000 docs to come to CAMLS through USF Health and get to experience Tampa.
Is there anything else you really want to say?
Well, I think the most amazing thing about this is that the ability to literally create a one-stop shop for new medical devices that can then be tested, get FDA approved, and have almost every doc in the country learn how to do them.
Should make all of us feel better as patients or potential patients.
I know I do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Deborah Sutherland is CEO of CAMLS, and you are not a medical doctor.
That is correct. I have a PhD in education, and I have the pleasure of being responsible for the strategic, operational, and all tactical aspects of making CAMLS a reality for USF Health and the City of Tampa.
Well, we talked with Dr. Glasgow about how physicians will come and improve and enhance their skills, and there'll be a new method of ensuring that physicians are competent. But that's just one piece of this whole picture.
It is. That's absolutely correct. Advanced surgical training is one component of what will take place at CAMLS. CAMLS is a facility that will focus on reducing medical errors, improving patient care across the spectrum of healthcare professionals. So in addition to physicians, all clinicians will be learning and practicing here. Another very important component is interprofessional education, where we train our teams who actually work together in a real-life clinical setting in an environment where they can practice those scenarios. So when they get to the operating suite or the trauma room, they actually have a really well synchronized team with a language that everybody understands and is comfortable with. That translates into safer patient care and more efficient patient care.
And also possibly huge economic impact for Tampa, because you're saying it may possibly attract biomedical firms to want to locate here.
Exactly. Another huge component of CAMLS is the Research and Innovations Lab, and that lab focuses on translational research. And what that means is medical device commercialization, health technology assessments, equipment accelerator programs, really exciting opportunities for CAMLS and for the City of Tampa.
And your offices right now are physically located on the Tampa General Hospital campus. Explain to us this whole relationship.
Correct. The simulation center, we have 5 simulation centers at USF Health, and we operate as a consortium. 3 of those 5 centers will move to CAMLS, and the sim center that we're presently in is at Tampa General. This center will be one of those that move, and we work with Tampa General on many of the healthcare training programs that we presently operate. Tampa General is one of our 5 teaching hospitals, and many of our residents and nursing students practice here. And this center is used for advanced cardiac life support, team training for the cardiac cath areas, many programs that we do work with Tampa General in developing.
And I'd like to introduce someone right now. This is Samantha.
This is Samantha.
It's interesting that all of your patients have names, and they're even capable of speaking, which one thought that occurs to me that they can speak is it also helps the docs work on their people skills.
It does. So that's a very important point, Kathy, for CAMLS. We are not only teaching technical competence and assessing technical competence, we are working on the whole interpersonal communication, team communication. That is a huge emphasis for CAMLS. And by having simulators that actually respond, it allows us to evaluate and train on appropriate interpersonal communication also.
So when Samantha says to a doctor,
I'm feeling really nervous, Doc.
Doc, I'm feeling a little bit nervous. It is the doctor's job to respond.
Exactly, and then modify the intervention appropriately. And they may say, Samantha may say she's feeling nervous. She may say, Doc, I'm having chest pain, or Doc, I'm short of breath. So then the appropriate intervention would follow. So it would be the responsibility of the clinician to respond to whatever Samantha is saying, and we're able to program that. So this system here allows us to program those responses based on what we want to see from the clinician as far as the technical skill and the interpersonal skill.
Any idea by the time this is completely done how many simulators you will have?
We will have around 45 different simulators when everything is complete. So we're combining this center, as I said, and a simulation center that's presently at 17 Davis, which has simulators that we use with medicine and pediatrics, and we're moving the Da Vinci robots that we use for hands-on training and the simulator that goes with the robotics center to CAMLS also.
Well, it's all fascinating, and thanks for spending time explaining it to us.
You're welcome.
Brian Check is with us. He is the Director of Real Estate for the Beck Group, and the Beck Group is well known for being an architectural, a construction, and a real estate firm, so you guys are sort of a one-stop shop to do it all. You won or got the CAMLS project. How and why were you chosen?
Well, that question is really better answered by the university, but I can tell you what, we think the selection was made based on primarily our familiarity with the project, and our ability to deliver the project on time. They have an extremely fast-track schedule for delivery.
Tell us about the whole bones of it, where it sits, how many acreage, how many square foot.
Well, the facility sits on about 1.6 acres in the heart of downtown Tampa. We are currently estimating the building to be about 90,000 square feet. 3 stories with a penthouse that would include all of the HVAC and air conditioning equipment.
And you said very fast track for construction.
Mm-hmm. Well, a facility like this, as complicated as it would be to move in all of the equipment, I would hope for about 20 months to deliver it from start of design to opening the doors. In this case, we have about 15 months.
And the reason for that is?
Well, the project was expanded partially through the planning process early, or I guess late last year. And so that expansion increased the building size but didn't increase the schedule.
And the schedule, Dr. Glasgow explained to me, is partially because he wants this to become a highlight for downtown Tampa and wants completion by the time of the Republican National Convention so that folks from around the country get to see it.
Absolutely. We anticipate the facility to be open actually in January of next year, well in advance of the convention, just so that they can start up the programs and have a little time to actually operate it prior to the convention.
What is the cost of this project?
The project cost in just construction and some of the design costs is about $20 million.
And tell me what you envision as the impact of this facility once it's done on the neighborhood, on the hotels, on the restaurants, on all of downtown.
Oh, I think the impact will be immense. The local hotels we anticipate would see an additional 10,000 room nights to the local economy. We will have out-of-town guests coming from not just within the United States but internationally. So we'll see an immense increase in airport traffic and out-of-town guests visiting our restaurants, our hotels, as I mentioned, and just generally experiencing Tampa.
Let's describe precisely where the site is downtown.
Well, the site is located directly south of the old Fort Brooke Garage. It's bordered by Broreen and Florida, with Franklin Street on the west side.
And why that site?
Well, that site is actually just perfectly suited for a building of this footprint. A lot of the sites downtown would accommodate a much larger building and probably would be better used for something of larger size. It's also directly adjacent to the convention center, which when out-of-town guests come to the convention center and or would be participating at something at the CAMLS facility, the proximity to the convention center and the convention center hotels is perfect for the university's use.
Well, you have a lot of work to get done in a very short time, so we better let you go.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Brad Suter is with the city's Parks and Recreation Department, and we are standing in front of what a park looks like when it's just getting started.
Right. It's a very exciting time right now because we've just done the initial clearing and we're getting set. Construction started about a few weeks ago, actually on-site construction.
This is the Channel District Park,
Correct.
quite literally in the heart of the Channel District.
Right. We're going with the name Channelside Park because that's how it's kind of evolved through the public participation process. We went through a series of meetings with the community and got a lot of input, and from very rough ideas from either formal to organic type of approach, it really morphed in and developed into something more of an organic side with marine aquatic kind of feel to it. So very exciting.
Explain what you mean, formal versus organic.
Well, formal, we were based on some of the architecture of the buildings here with a lot of the architecture is very rigid, right angles, straight lines, and then more organic is more flowing, more, let's call it aquatic in nature, and the community really responded to some of the drawings, and that kind of showed those types of forms being utilized to create the spaces in the park.
What will the spaces be?
There's several. There's really a series of interconnected spaces that's tied together by some walkways. There'll be a dog area and a dog run, which really is a dominant feature in the park. There's also a very multi-use open space area that is going to be an open lawn that is not for dogs, but it's for people. There'll be a sculptural, there's a lot of art incorporated into the park too. One is this sculptural seagrass area, which is a very discrete area for play. We wanted to get some play in for the children and even the young adults in the district, and we have that in terms of the seagrass sculpture play area, and also there's a palm garden which has a more intimate seating area that the seating doubles as they're like cubes that are kind of stacked, so there's some climbing opportunities there.
Why is a park so important in an urban core like this?
Wow, it's like in this district especially, it can be everyone's front yard. Very important for socialization. We've seen that in the use of our dog parks. It just really brings people together, dogs and parents and people together. But also the flexibility of the spaces I was speaking about. They're small, intimate spaces that kind of move and transition well into larger areas. So there's a multitude of uses, and different size groups can come here. You can come here and just read a paper. You can come here with a group of friends, or even possibly a very large community gathering can happen in this park.
And the size of the park is about a city block.
It's half an acre. It's just over a half an acre.
And completion dates?
We're looking at mid-October right now. Of course, that's barring summer rains and things like that. But we've got a good schedule. We're moving along on schedule, so we anticipate that we'll be right there in the fall.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
My pleasure.
Mark Alma lives here in the Channel District, and he's a member of the CRA Advisory Committee. This is your little guy, Parker.
Yeah.
It's nice that he could join us. So you guys, I bet you can't wait for this park.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to it. Yep. We have to leave, the area to go find parks to play in on a regular basis now, so it'd be nice to be able to just walk a couple blocks. Yeah.
And you have lived here since this really was a warehouse district.
Yes. Watched it develop, came down weekly, and watched everything that got tore down and built up. Yep.
What made you decide to live here?
I kind of wanted to go green. I mean, one, fuel prices being as they are, but it's just a matter of, I like the idea we can park our car Friday night, use a streetcar, and not have to drive again until work on Monday. So it's nice to have truly an urban city lifestyle.
Were you involved in the planning of the park, the neighborhood?
Yes, actually, all of the neighbors were. We had several open meetings where the neighbors came and actually got to lay out designs, and then we broke them into about 5 or 6 groups, and everybody put in, and then we looked at what all the groups wanted in general and put that together. So this truly was a planned park for the neighborhood.
What's most exciting about it to you?
Place to take my grandson. Yeah. And it's going to fit, the design of the park is going to fit into the design of the Channel District.
And how do you think it helps the neighborhood?
Well, I think whenever you have parks, it helps promote families. And, one of the things when we first moved here, I don't think that was really a lot of children, but now we're getting more and more children. Our building alone with 800 residents, there's probably 40 children there that live there now easily. So it's nice to have an incorporated, that everybody can feel like they can come down here and live.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thank you, Parker. Nice talking with you. Parks are not just for people. Ken Stoltenberg is the developer of the Channel District Kennel Club, and as the name suggests, this is all about dogs.
Absolutely.
You are a developer for humans down here. You have some buildings.
That is correct.
And what made you decide to look at the dogs?
Well, we developed Grand Central at Kennedy, which is an urban mixed-use project of approximately 400 residential units. And what we found was the majority of the folks had dogs. And while we do have a couple walking areas up on the pool decks, it just really wasn't sufficient for the folks who want to, get out with their dog and run around and that type of thing. So there were some kind of old warehouse buildings that had been here, since the turn of the century, and we were able to lease the property at an attractive rate for a period of years and develop this club here for all of the residents at Grand Central and other folks in the surrounding, Channel District and Ybor City.
And it is a club in that, unlike the city park where anyone can go and take their dogs if dogs are allowed in that particular park, this is a club to which you belong.
Yes, what we do is it's $25 a month, and we screen all of the dogs to make sure that they're up to date on all their vaccinations, and we also screen them for temperament.
And then how does it work? The hours of operation, and what do the dogs do, and what are the people allowed to do?
Well, obviously the busiest time is after work. We do have some folks come in the morning. We have a few come at lunch, but the big time is after work. And if you come here, say between 5 and 7 o'clock, there's 10 or 20 dogs running around. We have 3 different areas, one for small dogs, one that's a mixed area, and one for large dogs.
And what are the advantages over just going to any neighborhood park?
Well, all the folks that are members here really use the facility and know each other, so it's kind of like a social club for people as well. The other thing that is that all of the dogs that are in the club have been through the same screening process as your dog, so we've had very few problems with anything canine, so to speak.
And do you have special events and gatherings?
We are going to have some more events. We've teamed up with one of our retail establishments at Grand Central at Kennedy called the Poor House, and they're very dog-friendly people too, so we are going to start having a monthly event for folks who are members and also people that are thinking about becoming members, where they can come down, say, on a Sunday afternoon, check the park out with their dog.
If you want to learn more, where do you go?
You would go to our website, which is www.channeldistrictkennelclub.com.
Okay, and we are here in the middle of the day. It's not a big time for dogs, but we've played with Desmond till he's tired. Let's see if he'll come say hi.
Absolutely.
Desmond, come say hi. Come say hi. Come say hi. Yeah, so this is one of our members. Ken, thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming down, and hope everybody comes and checks out the Channel District Kennel Club.
Thank you for joining us for First Look at Tampa's redevelopment. We hope you'll tune in next time as we take a look at the redevelopment activities that are reshaping Tampa.